Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we have quite an interesting topic to discuss, and it's something that I've seen a lot of people talk about after the draft lottery, and you've probably read the title. So what should the Ottawa Senators do at the draft and what will it mean for their future? Now, if you've been living under a rock or just not been paying attention to the NHL in these past months, the Ottawa Senators were one of the losers in the draft lottery a few weeks ago. They had 2 picks in the top 3 when it came to odds of winning the draft lottery, and they ended up with 3rd and 5th, and while that obviously sucks, they still have a bunch of options when it comes to both players to draft and potential trades they can make with either one of the picks or maybe both picks. So, to trade or draft, that is the question, and I think the reason people are saying they should consider trading the picks are, well, number one, trade rumors and mock trades are always fun, and when you have this much trade value at hand, it's always fun to explore what kind of trades you can make, either to move up in the draft or in a package to get some decent players. The other reason I think a lot of people are saying they should trade their picks is because Pierre Dorion was actually asked about the potential of a trade with the number 3 and number 5 picks during a live Q&A of the 31 Thoughts podcast, and he said this, quote, "It would be very difficult to do something like that. It would have to be a special player coming our way." And that obviously makes sense, and I don't really think he suggested that he was thinking of making a trade, but what if that special player he's talking about is Alexis Lafreniere? He was asked about the potential of trading both picks for the number 1 pick, and he said no comment. So, I mean, there's a possibility, maybe. He's probably thinking about it, and anyone in his position would, but we don't even know what team the first round pick belongs to yet, and once we do, then we could probably start thinking about mock trades and such. Imagine if the Penguins get the first round pick, would they want the best player and build a future around him, or would they take 2 top 5 picks and have their coming rebuild around them? It's an interesting thought at least. But with that said, I do believe the Senators will keep hold of their picks. This year's draft is so deep, and when you can get 2 top 5 players, I think you should go with that. And that obviously begs the question, who do they go with? So this is the big question on everybody's lips. Who do they draft? Now, if you watched my last video where I talk about the LA Kings and their draft and their future, you'd know that I have Quinton Byfield going 2nd overall to the LA Kings. And I also said it's either him or Tim Stützle going 2nd overall. So with that in mind, I think their 3rd pick will be Tim Stützle. A terrific player and prospect, he's a great skater, an amazing playmaker, and his NHL projection is looking great. A first line kind of player that would be amazing on the power play, and someone who can play both wing and center, and I would say he ends up playing as a winger. The Senators have their best center prospect and their best prospect overall in Drake Batherson. He had an amazing season in the AHL and was good when he was called up to the NHL. They also have Logan Brown at center. I don't think he's someone you'd move to the wing to accommodate Stützle. I mean, Brown is 6'6" and he's just a brute out there. You also have Josh Norris, who had a great season, and I'd say he's got top 6 potential, as does Batherson and Brown, so the Sens are stacked when it comes to the center position. With that said, it's not a guarantee all of these center prospects will become as good as they project, and then it could be very good having Stützle who could jump in and play center and would probably do it pretty well. When it comes to the 5th overall pick, it gets a bit tricky because we don't know what Detroit will do. Will they go with Drysdale or Perfetti or Rossi or maybe Lucas Raymond? I have no idea. I'm gonna say Marco Rossi. The guy had an insane season and I don't think Iserman will say no to him. So that leaves the Senators with some options. I already talked about their center depth in the prospect pool, so they may not go with Perfetti. He's someone I like, but I have a feeling they might go with a defenseman. Yeah, they already have Thomas Chabot, who eats an insane amount of minutes, and if you ask me, he's their future captain. He's locked down to a long-term contract, and he's just insane. They also have Erik Brännström, who's going to be really good as well, but the thing with Brännström and Chabot is that they're both left-handed defensemen, and Jamie Drysdale is a righty, and I think Drysdale is the one they'll go with. That said, if Marco Rossi is available at 5th, I'd go for him, but like I said, I think the Red Wings are picking him. So Jamie Drysdale then, why should you go with him? He was ranked 4th overall on Bob McKenzie's list, he's 5th on consolidated rankings, and some people have him as 12th and some have him as 3rd. So he's someone who splits opinion, but with the upside this guy has, I think he's the right decision for the Sens. The guy is a smallish defenseman, he's 5'11", and he's what I like to call the new generation of defensemen, primarily seen in Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar, and it's pretty easy to make that comparison because they're the same size, and what always stands out when you first watch them is their skating, and it's the same with Drysdale, it's fantastic. Be it his acceleration, top end speed, or his edge work, it's just great. He's also a good passer and he's got a good shot, so he's definitely someone you want on your blue line and on your power play. I'm gonna say this though, don't expect Quinn Hughes or Cale Makar when it comes to offensive output and ability, but he's still gonna put up points on the board and he's pretty good defensively too. The Senators also have another first round pick which they acquired in the Pageau trade. If the Islanders lose their qualifier and win the first round pick, the Islanders will own that pick, but if that doesn't happen, which it probably won't, it's all Ottawa's and that will be somewhere in the 20s in the draft. And there are a bunch of options here. You can go with one of the Germans in Reichel or Peterka, maybe Hendrik Lapierre or Noel Gunler if he's still there. You get my point, there's a ton of players to pick from. So the Senators prospect pool is very deep. They have 2 picks in the top 5 of the draft, 3 picks in the first round, and get this, 4 picks in the second round and 13 picks overall. So the future is very bright for them, and let's have a look at what it holds for them. Like I just said, the Sens are loaded in this year's draft. I mean, 7 picks in the first 2 rounds is insane, and there are some really interesting prospects that are projected to go in the second round that the Sens can take a gamble on, and who knows what the end result will be. I already talked about their top prospects, Drake Batherson, Logan Brown, Erik Brännström, and then adding a handful of prospects this year, and just like that you have one of the brightest futures in the entire league. But what I'm most excited about is that the Sens are going to rebrand and return to the 2D logo in jerseys they rocked in the 90s and the early 2000s. And I love that because it's what I associate the Sens with, and I grew up with them playing in those sweet jerseys with Daniel Alfredsson leading the way. And jokes aside, well, I am excited for the rebrand, but I'm more excited about their future on the ice. And I mean, when you look at what they already have, Tomashevo is their defenseman for the future and the present, and their future captain if you ask me. They have Brady Tkachuk, who is a terrific player, and he's also Tkachuk, and that brings a certain edge to his game, which is great to have. And on the goaltender side, their current setup isn't that amazing, but I am excited for Philip Gustafsson and Matt Sögaard and what they can bring in a few years. And I haven't even mentioned Colin White, but he's on a great contract, and he's looking like he's going to be a pretty good and useful player, and their cap situation overall is looking alright. They have Bobby Ryan and his contract, and he's got 3 years left on that deal, so that is a bit of a problem, but other than that, it's not looking too bad apart from Nikita Zaitsev and his insane contract. But overall, I'm very excited about the Senators' future. They have some great prospects and they already have some good players, and if everyone develops the way they should, the Sens will be a very good team in maybe 5 years or so. I don't think it's gonna be a rocket rise in 2 seasons, but they're gonna be good. So what do you guys think? Am I hyping up the Sens a bit too much, or do you agree? Let me know in the comments below, and I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.